All right, so here we go. I got Joe competing today, mid blue belt. This is his first match. Guy in the black gi. This video is going to have 8 matches that he had that day. So this was a long day. Joe was amped up. He was jumping around for like 40 minutes before his first match. So, he had some serious energy going into this stuff, a lot of high cortisol. So he was like super amped up. He hasn't competed in about a year. So he went in there with a lot of energy and was just redlining all day. I think as he went on, the day got a little bit easier mentally, but harder physically, and that's kind of me learning the athlete. I've never been, cornering Joe before, and I've never been there as his coach, so kind of watching him, the animal that he is, and just kind of keeping an eye on him. So he actually pulled guard more than I expected today. He used it as an off balance, and it did actually work out for him there. He sat down, pulled the guy over him, and got like an overhead sweep. Kind of the guy tripped over him. I'm pretty sure he shuts this guy out pretty bad. We win like a lot of points to almost, I think, no points. So, I'm not going to keep track of all the points and stuff. I'll try to let you guys know if he won or lost. But honestly, I don't really care about the outcome. I'm just kind of watching for skills and watching for indicators of what there is to work on and what is going well for the future training. I'm not really judging him at all. This is a highly non-representative environment of a training room. It's not the same. It's hard to simulate this kind of a room and the energy that comes with these kinds of matches. All of the anticipation, all of the, you know, anxious energy that we get. I believe the guy scored 2 points there for a sweep. I'm not too sure. But we have this half guard laid out, pinned down, feet in the collar. Joe and I'm a no-gi coach, so I do not run gi classes because I am not at the schools. I have a full-time job and I coach at 2 different schools. So, our guys competing in gi, I'm not really helping them as much in specifically the gi, but they do have a well-rounded game from doing all the no-gi. The novelty of the gi, though, does pop up a few times today. It is a different thing. It is a different novelty to deal with. All the extra grips, the clinginess, the implications of gi grips, and different stickiness, more friction. It's just a different thing with the jacket on. So, Joe, I don't even know if he trains gi that much these days. He's with me 3 days a week doing no gi. I think he was definitely respectable that he just decided to do both brackets and not competing for a year, decide to sign up for a minimum of 8 matches. Uh, Definitely ambitious, and I admire that. And he hasn't competed in a year, and I don't know how many times he's competed before that. So there's a loop choke attack that I was a little bit on edge when I saw the guy kind of setting it up, and I saw the guy kept throwing Joe in it. But he did do a good job just blasting his head up into the guy's chin here and not allowing that choke to happen just because he keeps his head really high and he's in this tripod style of a pass. That's interesting because in the actual training room, I'll see Joe blow through things like this, like butter, really. The performance in the training rooms, I noticed, is much higher than the performance, than the moves you see, than the difficulties that's perceived out there in these tournament settings. So for guys who haven't competed and are watching competition footage, you might be better in the training room and when you're rolling in open mats and stuff, even with strangers, than when you're in this exact environment. The noise of it, the charged up, everyone's watching you, you're being filmed, you have a ref. It's very, very high pressure situation for a lot of people. For me too. I never enjoyed that part. The guy tried to do that Kimura spin under, right here, and Joe just stopped him. The guy should have tried to whip his legs, but you know what? Hard to say the guy should have done anything because it's just what he's working with right now. Joe's got that chest down. He's been chest down for a while, just smushing on this guy and wearing him out. Now I watched this guy compete a little bit later, and he did really well in his other matches. I even saw him win a match. So the guy's not a scrub, guys. He's a good blue belt. All right, they're both solid blue belts. And yeah, this looks like a side control. We're basically he's scoring. Joe's scoring. He's winning on points in this one. We have that. I was just I was just happy to see this guy, put his ass on the line for 8 matches. So it's just inspiring to see it, guys. Whether he wins, loses these matches, I don't really care. I'm not kind of judging him at all. The more you put yourself in this environment, the more relaxed you'll be, and the more dialed in you'll be, and the more natural it will feel. But I noticed that a lot of people just cardio gassing like left and right. Everybody was just so exhausted after their matches. Joe won that match. These are 5-minute matches. There's going to be 8 of them, so you're just going to see jump cuts to all of them. I believe I got them in order here, so this might be the second match. Don't remember the outcome, but all tough opponents. Everybody was legit. Look, guy pulls it. It was surprising to see Joe use that sitting method so much, but he does end up on top behind. He went for a move that I've never seen him hit, but it would have been cool if the guy actually tapped to that. It was kind of like a loop choke. Like I know the move. I don't know the name of the move. I know how to do it. You dive into that little hole and roll with kind of like a loop choke style grip. Joe's trying to get in on the legs here. I believe he has a very good straight ankle lock, but I don't see him going for it at all in any of his matches. I believe he has 2 submissions this day, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he gets 2 submissions. I could be wrong. I had these 8 matches like were really back to back, very fast guys. And I also had 2 other athletes here from the Zen Jiu-Jitsu Academy and Trigon Academy combined. We had 3 guys there, and they all did really well. Like I'm pretty impressed with everyone, and it's just good. This is like a really good start. We're not regularly competing. None of these guys are regularly competing. These are really our only competitors right now. But I believe the wind is in our sails, and I believe a lot of the guys who are friends with these guys, all of our training partners, they're signing up for a lot of different events that are coming up. There's some quintets that are coming up. There's a lot of really cool stuff happening. So this will be like a driving force. So we got snapped down there in a circular fashion, put in a front head, pulled guard, and now we're in this one leg hook, one leg around scenario, and I don't like this scenario too much. Somehow that guy's hands got so committed to the neck, he had no base, and Joe got a 2-point sweep here. Um, it looks like a triangle setup or some kind of De La Hiva guard situation the guy's trying to play with. But Joe's smashing the legs, pulling the collar down. Me and Mark were just, you know, helping Joe out on the side, just giving some cues. The ref saw that the toe was stuck in the pant hole. So now we're in that same situation with one leg in, one leg out, and Joe's just keeping the guy's feet off of him. And as long as you keep the feet off of you, you're in a little bit better of a situation. But he is getting somehow stretched out here with that gi grip that's on his shoulder and his collar. The guy, 2, 3 times I got worried that Joe was gonna get gi choked. I don't know if it was just this match, but there was a really a gi choke trap that Joe was savvy to. I'll try to point it out later. It was kind of cool to see him not get fooled by the trap. But now they got the guy angling off in closed guard. A lot of time gets killed in closed guard, guys, especially in the gi. It's just ridiculous. It's really a lot of time in the closed guard. You got this deep collar grip. Joe's just trying to survive. Um, I might show Joe like to harass the guy's neck a little bit on the bottom. Like I used to roll with this black belt, and in this situation, when I was on bottom, he would choke me with my collar, and then when I opened up to go for the armbar, because that's the logical next step, he would just be ahead of that every time. Joe escaped a very ugly. That was a that was looking pretty strong, guys. Like I thought he was gonna get at least in some hot water with that one, but he did roll out of this cross choke that was coming on, and he was already starting to get a little bit fatigued here. I didn't see him eat really anything all day. He had like a banana, and he did like 8 matches on a banana and some water. Like it was just a pretty crazy day for him. So I don't know what's going on over there. They're just kind of sitting there, and the ref was trying to replicate the situation they were in so that she could have them set up there again. It's a leg smash situation. In no gi, you'll see actually like guys like Rob Deagle here. They'll find a way to invert underneath, gather both legs, and end up in cross ashi. I've seen Joe playing with that recently, so I don't know if they're allowed to do that or whatever. There was a lot of rules to read through. I had simulated one practice with this rule set because I was only like informed of this competition within the last 2 weeks. So I really could only get the competitors together to practice for the specific rule set. And we didn't even do gi, we just did no gi. So we're getting mounted, guys, or at least half guard. Joe gets his legs back in between himself and his opponent, uses that to throw the guy off. And we get, I don't know if that's a 2 point sweep. It's a 2 point sweep. He kicked the guy off from half guard, butterfly guard kind of situation. And we get a lot of this closed guard, guys. Like the theme is just this closed guard a lot. So avoiding that will be really nice because it does kill our time. If you're ahead, I mean, it's okay. I noticed our other athlete got some stalling point, like he got penalties for stalling. So you got to watch out when you're just sitting there and just staying on. Even though you're on top, you can still lose if you just sit in this closed guard. I believe Joe is just fending off his neck right now. He's just really trying not to get collar choked of some kind because it does happen and it is there, with your collars and this extra sticky kind of it slows down the game, the gi, a little bit by opening up a lot more spammable grips. It is just a different game, guys. It is something that you want to train a lot if you're going to go compete in it. And I'm pretty impressed with Joe's performance here as he escaped many, many traps and chokes that were coming at him and weathered that storm and still got a lot of wins. So I believe he won this match. I cut the camera a lot right before. From what I saw, this guy was a shorter opponent with some big beefy arms, and he was strong. And I noticed he had one throw that was really good. It was from a front headlock and an underhook. Joe decided to pull guard, but when he pulled guard, we're in that situation again, guys, where there's one leg kind of in and out, and I just don't like that too much. So it's not a really great place to be. But Joe's got this cool scrambly um, attack style of going towards the legs and kind of pseudo. He is inverting, but we get to reverse close guard, which I have seen a lot of successful toe holds happen here. I'm not sure why he didn't go for it. Maybe he thought it was illegal, but there is a really nice toe hold from reverse close guard. The mistake was bringing his head back out. He should have just stayed behind the guy's knees and kept that as a leg entanglement. But you see me on the mat kind of over there. But this was a good match for Joe to experience. He got in some really tight stuff here. This guy was really brutal on the neck, and Joe's just trying to not get tapped here. Like right now, he's just escaping his neck. He really did a good job escaping a lot of this guy's stuff. That would tap less tough dudes. So there was at one point, we got chest to chest with the half guard scenario. Let's see what Joe does. Top players just looking to get past, wrap up the head and neck, get elbow separation, get his leg through. And Joe just uses it. He gets his leg back inside the guy's leg. And now we're trying to make space. But again, we're in that position where one hook is in and one hook is out. And I don't really like seeing that too much. The bottom guy usually ends up in a worse spot. So Joe decided to take both his hooks out, butterfly hooks out and wrap them around. And now we're in this like closed guard situation. Guy just separates. Guy's got his hands on Joe's shoulder line. Joe can't get the angle. Guy is just making Joe bear weight and trying to avoid attacks. Joe spins under into what looked like sort of a K guard on the inside, goes inside, wraps, reaps, and the guy kind of runs out. What I'm liking here is that this is showing me that Joe's experimenting with something in that direction of that inverting and isolating legs. He does do. I told Joe to put the guy's butt on the mat here, and the guy actually stepped back and just kind of got that head again. So now he's got the head, and we went from like a pretty cool spot that I think in a few years or a few, games in there, we'll get some real development there, and that will turn into a really nice situation to create for himself. So he's in a neck crank right now, which I'm pretty sure neck cranks were illegal, but the guy still he threw on a Japanese necktie for a little bit there, and this ref couldn't have been more um, distracted. He wasn't even looking at the matches. I was watching the ref. He was just like looking out in the crowd a lot, not like watching the competitors. And maybe it's boring to him being a ref or something. It is like a long day, but Joe was just getting neck cranked in an official like neck crank that even has a name. It was a Japanese necktie, so I don't know why the ref didn't even give him a penalty or something. The guy literally went for. So right here we got the guy said that Joe tapped. I I didn't. The ref didn't see him tap. Maybe because the ref. I mean, Joe said he didn't tap either. So the guy tried to say Joe tapped. I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe he slapped his leg and he was trying to get out or something. But that's an ugly thing that happens sometimes. I don't know what that's called, but maybe the ref wasn't looking. I did catch this ref just like kind of not checking. He's in another neck crank, guys. It's a cow catcher. I'm pretty sure neck cranks were illegal for the blue belts, so maybe I'm wrong, but this guy was really abusive to the neck. He was really good too. And we have like Joe's never hit a buggy choke that I know of. So he's just exploring with that now, and I would like to get him into he turned that into almost like a Darce. So now we have to fight out of a north-south choke. So Joe was just trying stuff. I want to see him try stuff though. Like we'll play some games from those spots that he was curious about that he was finding, and we'll probably get some real good headway from what I'm watching here. But this, I'm pretty much just happy about everything. He's doing great. Three matches in now. This might have been even later if I jumbled and mixed up the matches. So this is a tough opponent though. The guy abused his neck like crazy and he was all over his head. So I think we're running out of time in this match. Joe survived a north-south choke just now. He survived a heck of a lot of stuff here. He got a shoulder crunch going, but he took his hooks out again. And I don't know why he keeps making certain decisions, tactical decisions. It's hard to say anything, right? It's hard to say anything. I would have probably done different things, but Joe lost that match on some points. Didn't get tapped out. Let's see what we got here. This guy I was watching all day, and he did that same opening move over and over again. And I tried to tell Joe to be ready for it, but it just happened, and now the guy's got 2 points. He kept doing that sit down and kind of sweep the guy over, like trip him over you, and he did the same move like all day and everybody over and over again. So it was successful for him, and now we have single leg game. They go out of frame, and ref's gonna reset them in a second. This ref was good. He was all over his competitors. He was like, I've seen this guy before too. He's been around. So we get back to standing, tying up, Joe shooting again, and then pulling back to guard again. So that happened a lot where he like shot in and just decided to sit down when he didn't get the shot. I don't know. It's this he doesn't do that in training. I never see it. So different behaviors just started like emerging on this mat out there, depending on what he was feeling and depending on what he thought was possible for him to do. So, no critiques, just observations. We have like this half guard De La Hiva, reverse De La Hiva situation. He gets cut through. Guy's on top of him, past it. Guy's got the elbow separated. He's got the underhook cross face. Joe does a really good job getting his legs back involved. Every single time he ends up in like side control, he does usually get his legs back involved, and he does escape a lot of ugly stuff. He gets himself out of a lot. He's got a lot of tenacity, right? You can't knock him. He's just really working super hard here. He's feeding that lapel again and going to this. I don't know. I personally I like it in the front like that, what he's doing. He just doesn't kick the guy off of him. It looks like he's just letting the guy kind of camp there in headquarters, and he's got to deal with this guy's weight. I mean, kick him overhead with his instep, just kind of like off balance and destabilize from the bottom position. Looking at any way we could destabilize that top guy, and there are ways, but sometimes when you're out there, man, and the guy's on top of you, it feels impossible. And I've been there too, where it just feels like there is no option, and you just feel super stuck and glued to the mat, especially in gi. These mats, they look like slippery mats, so they don't look like those mats that suck you in. Some sticky mats in gi like really suck you in and make movement unfriendly. These mats look a little bit slidey. So we have this reverse thing again, reverse De La Hiva half guard style, and we don't get any work done really on bottom. He did cut through it before. He passed Joe before with something. He got the underhook here, and now Joe's trying to work from a pretty behind situation. This guy's pulling his arm up, getting a pin, and passing. Just traditional free your knee from the thing and cut through it. He insisted on cutting through it. Mark was yelling a good cue here, keep the guy's knee off the mat, and that obviously is what you want to try to do, but inevitably people get their guards passed. We get mounted. That's 4 points. So the guy's ahead on points, very, very strong. I think that's another neck crank, man. I don't know. He just had this like mother's milk kind of thing going, but it cranks your neck. I don't know how the refs are supposed to enforce that stuff, but whatever. Not that I'm saying anything at all, like not throwing shade. Just an observation. It looked like a neck crank. A couple times he got cranked pretty hard, and I don't know. Pretty sure I have to review the rules again, but I thought I saw no neck cranks. Refs really cramping my style, but we are getting some nice calf and hamstring observation here. I like his socks. He's doing great wearing his socks on the mat. Very nice. We have a choke of some kind. Overhook choke. Yeah, this was the trap that he didn't fall for. Joe somehow didn't pull his head the other way. The guy was setting up this trap, though. You hold the head, you get your thumb in the collar, and then when you pull your head out, Joe drove his head in instead, which is really good. And that just kept nullifying the gi choke there, and he kept freeing his neck. So I was yelling. Me and Mark were both telling him to stand up. And look, the stand up got him out of that whole situation. But now we have to figure out ways we're going to go for it. So he does the same thing again, shoot in and sit down. I'm not sure he was even aware of what was going on. Some of it was just automatic stuff, but that is something to address because I did see that behavior a lot, just to shoot in, sit down, and now we're getting passed, and now we're getting elbow separated, and the guy's on top trying to work this Kimura. I believe time runs out, saved by the bell, perhaps. We do have a Kimura grip here. Yeah, and then the ref calls time. The guy wins. The guy was good. I watched a lot of his matches. He was impressive. He looked like a young guy, too. We have an immediate guard pull in the next match. Let's see what we get here. Again, close guard. Uh, what do you want to do from close guard, guys? Is wear the guy out a little bit. Make him, bear your weight. I like to harass people when they're underneath me. Just get on his gi, thrust choke him, give openings for him to take. And then when he takes them, as soon as you feel it, you exploit that opening because he's got to open his legs, right? To do anything on bottom. He's got to open his legs. He can't do much without opening his legs first. Maybe some of the gi chokes, but if you just fight the hands, keep the gi unconnected, don't let them connect to your collar. And if they do connect to your collar, just survive it, nullify it. Even just standing up, guys, a really good game is, close guard, top player, stand up, uh, give the cue for the bottom player to try to knock top player over when they stand. So now, as soon as the top player stands up all the way, top player, stay balanced and free your legs from any connections and open the closed guard player's legs and push them down to the mat so that you don't have to be in closed guard anymore as long as you keep standing. But the dilemma of standing in closed guard is that you bring your feet close to the bottom guy and he could start connecting to your feet. Now, if you could free your feet and not get swept over and stay balanced and be used to that little exchange, you'll be prepared for it next time you get there. So that's just a little game that I would probably have Joe play in the gi a little bit more. I never really have Joe in gi because I don't run gi classes at the two schools that I work at. So one school I'm only there 1 day a week, guys, and then the other school I'm there 2 days a week. I have full-time jobs and a lot of other things going on, so it's hard for me to be all over an athlete really to help him prepare. Like Joe's at both schools, so he gets 3 days consecutive of constrained learning approach, 100% live stuff, 3 days in a row. It's a lot of volume, a lot of training volume, a lot of live work, but none of it's in gi. So I wasn't sure what his gi game was in the first place because I've never seen him roll in gi besides, a year ago watching some footage, and that's it. So knowing that, I'm just kind of observing here and just watching Joe's strengths and weaknesses, repetitive behaviors, and certain places to go to see where he's good and see where he needs to experience a little bit more experimentation. But I don't have a designated gi class, so it's going to be hard for me to have a variety of opponents in gi for Joe to play games with. The sleeve grip that's on his hand, he needs to be circling and getting it off, but he does a really good job staying balanced. I thought he was going to get triangled there when the guy off balanced him. If the guy threw his leg through for a triangle, I really thought that was coming. So that didn't happen, thankfully. And even so, I saw Joe escape so many submissions and so many bad situations that it was like heroic level. So here again, we have connections that are on us that we're not removing. The connection on his pants, he's smothering a little bit, which I liked. I wish I saw more of that, a little bit more harassing the bottom guy, a little bit more uncomfortable, make him uncomfortable. We were worried here about a triangle again. The guy had it. It was right there, but he just, for whatever reason, he maybe felt stuck. Okay, don't let your opponent's feet on you. You see that foot on his bicep there? You could drop your arm down and break it over your thigh, but Joe allows that feet are on him and he's trying to clear feet off of him. So we definitely don't want the guard player's feet on us, connected behind our knees, bottom of his feet pointing at us, and we don't want it. So we got to get those off. We got to stand. We got to remove connections, and we got to pass. I think we step over at some point. Let's see what ends up happening. Yeah, so right here, it could turn into a half guard really quick. The guy keeps putting his foot back in, and it's making space with that other frame. So Joe's trying to clear that frame, and as soon as he does that, get his foot to the mat to get to half guard. And I don't think we get there right away. The guy's in like this kind of single leg X situation where Joe's just squatting down. Got to get over that other knee or rectify the lead leg, and we end up stuck there. Um, Personally, I don't remember. I couldn't tell who won. I think Joe won this match, though. Believe Joe won. Yeah. So Joe grabbed the win there. We got a no-gi match now. This guy was, I believe, went on to. He did two divisions as well, but all of his gi matches, I think, he did really well in his whole division. This guy was really big of arm, stout, strong. His muscular development was advanced. The guy was like powerful. Okay, Joe is already. This is his seventh. This is his sixth match, guys. So this is hours and hours back to back matches, and then a little bit of a break, and then you're ready to go, and then your match gets delayed, and then it was just this like psychological endurance that was also going on between matches, guys. And he was getting tired by this point, but he does put on a decent showing here. He does tie up with this guy. Um, Again, clearing underhooks and clearing his head. His head got gripped up a lot here. And let's see what we get. I don't know if he's going to pull again. He gets tied up, pulls, gets like a little snap down and pulls butterfly. The guy sprawls out. That was his chance to try to get back up, try to disconnect from the guy, but the guy got out. The guy got past him. This gets kind of ugly here. So he's in like a triangle with a Kimura, arm saddle actually, and he's surviving the arm saddle here. We were trying to get him to eat that leg up, but we didn't. And then he does a safety tap, kind of like a quick tap when the arm actually comes free here, but he does a good job just stopping it for a while. But as soon as that arm comes free, I believe the guy eventually opens that and he just taps really early. So safety, I'd rather be safe. There's no money on this, so there's no reason to get hurt. And if he, in his judgment, thought that he might get hurt there with a strong guy extending his arm very fast, good tap. I'm fine with that. I don't care. I'm not critiquing any of those decisions. That's a good decision. So we have another no-gi match. I believe this was victory by submission for Joe. Let's see how we open. He's got elbow control. I would like to see more of that 2-on-1, clearing hands, moving to the hips, taking people down with like double legs and stuff, because it is there. These guys do tend to just present straight on hips. But again, Joe goes for single, sits. He's got to suck in that far leg here, but it escapes him. And now we're working on coming up with a body lock of some kind. But the ref says, no, we got to reset. Again, this is the same ref I was watching him. He just keeps looking away from the match. Like, it's fine. I don't know. I just noticed it. Like the guy standing next to me was saying something to me, and then I was like, "Oh yeah," and he's like, "Yeah, this ref is like not even watching the match." I was like, "Okay, maybe he's kind of bored. And he's tired of watching jiu-jitsu for the day." So we have a nice single leg, and then sitting again and getting passed immediately. So that's just something that it just keeps happening. Buggy choke that I've never seen him hit. He does fake it, and I guess it makes the guy like a little bit worried, and then we get a single leg really nice from like a dogfight situation, put the guy down, 2 points, 3 points for a pass. So we're ahead now. That's my ear. I'm just leaning in and yelling. I want him to separate the elbows, to find a way to get this guy's elbows nice and high up and block the hips. The guy's hips were a bit of an issue here. He was a flexible guy, so he kept getting his hips in. We're in that over-under situation again, but we lost it and we allowed the guy to get his legs back around. That's a game we actually play. I'll have one hook in and one hook around, and I'll try to get you to either maintain that situation for as long as you can, so keep one of his hooks trapped and keep one of his hooks outside for as long as you can, or maintain that while you try to get past the knee and move, to covering the hip and passing the knee. This guy was doing some kind of rubber guard thing here, and it looks like a triangle does show up to the party, but Joe is just like not having it. He's not having it. Starts just rotating out, gets his hand behind that ankle right here and just frees his neck and head just enough to get out of that and go back to close guard again. I think he put his hand back in, so killing the leg. He's killing the leg. He's coming around. He's splitting the legs now. So we're splitting the legs chest to chest, half guard kind of situation. The guy puts his foot back on Joe, gets his feet back into the inside position, and this turns into an elevation that could lead to leg entanglements eventually, and it leads to a sweep this time. So we do get a 2-point sweep for allowing ourselves to give inside position and allowing ourselves to get elevated, and eventually the guy blocked his frames and didn't let him base. So Joe shoots up a triangle real nice. I didn't see it coming. He didn't see it coming. It got us all. He's a real Houdini with that. I wanted him to pull the head, but he decided to figure out to go for the arm instead, and he does get a nice armbar finish from the triangle there. Very good. I would like to see more of that. I believe he does better in no-gi, but his no-gi matches all came after those gi matches, so he was already like super fried, guys. This is the 8th fight now. He fought a lot of tough guys, a lot of very skilled opponents, so This guy, I watched him a couple times, and all he did was, well, you know what? I don't want to bash him because he's excellent. He's actually really excellent. But this is the problem with like BJJ rule set, and then it not encouraging people to actually do stand up. So the guy just pulls guard, and this is what he did all day. He had a very high level, guys. He had a very high level guard, like one of those guys who just has super flexible hips and a high level seated guard, connecting to Joe, going for triangle. I believe he was ankle locking a lot of guys. He was going down, butterfly guard, elevating, getting on the legs. I watched him do it. So the guy was solid. Like, I could tell he was good at jiu-jitsu. And then, yeah, we got Joe just fighting to get past these legs. The guy's doing a really good job of harassing and trapping Joe's head. So you see how he pushed Joe's head down, and now Joe's head is under him, and he's moving towards that shoulder to connect to it for like an arm saddle style. Again, another arm saddle showing up. But this time Joe's head is kind of in the way, and his shoulders keeping the guy's hips from being free to move into that direction. It is an ugly spot because we are very close to some kind of a submission, whether it's a triangle, whether it's an arm saddle, or when you pop out, he goes to your legs. So I don't even remember exactly how this ends. So let's see what we get. It looks like some kind of triangle armbar. The guy did a good job working into that arm saddle, but the head is still inside, so it's more of like a triangle on his side. And it looks like a Kimura grip on the arm or an armbar grip on the arm. I don't know how Joe's feeling. This is his eighth match, and a very skilled guard that you have to play into. So let's see what we get. I believe it's an armbar or a triangle finish. No, he's going to use it to take the back once he frees his leg. Yeah, watch. He's got a rear triangle for a split second. It flashed a rear triangle, and now we're back into the body triangle, and we just get the top arm in as the sides were switching. And the guy's strong of arm as well. He's got some good grips, strong arms, solid body lock, and we're going to get a tap here. And Joe, he held on to the dear life here. He was coughing at the end of this one, so he really didn't give up until it was super real. And that was it. He didn't get the hand all the way in like everybody preaches. The guy finished it with, that short choke kind of grip, and that's real life. You can finish it. So that was it. I'm overall super impressed with everybody who competed, especially Joe with his 8 matches. And that's it. I'm glad you guys watched, and kudos to Joe. Very proud of you, man.